Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring the recipes from the World of Tolkien cookbook. The strawberry and lavender shortcakes were honestly kind of meh last week. I wasn't all that impressed with them. So this week we're on to the entree, fish and chips, which is a favorite of mine. So I'll be curious to see how this recipe gives its interpretation. First up, let's tell the story. This quintessentially British dish is given a healthy twist, as both the chips and the fish are oven roasted rather than deep fried, and is enhanced by the addition of a creamy dip bursting with citrus flavor for dunking your chips. And there's a little bit of flavor, a little bit more story in here as well. We encounter fish and chips in The Lord of the Rings when Sam reminisces on the good food he could have back home and promises to make the dish for Gollum if he's good. The food might seem anachronistic given the swords and great halls that lend the rest of the book a very medieval feel, but its presence is part and parcel with Tolkien's project of creating a mythology for England. There's nothing more quintessentially English, or indeed British, than fish and chips, and this classic comfort food feels like an element of Britishness that transcends time. Well, we're going to find out about that as I've made a few fish and chips recipes on the channel. The ingredients, as usual, are waiting for us at the table, so let's move in that direction. We're going for a rough two-part split here, but as you can see, there are going to be some overlapping ingredients. And the recipe, as written, will be provided in the description down below. But I'm cutting the recipe in half to only make enough for me to have dinner tonight. Anyway, to make this recipe, we need 1.5 kilograms of large floury potatoes cut into thick chips. 7 to 8 medium. I'm using 4 again, cutting the recipe in half. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Trying to see if I can point it out there. It's right over there, but the laser pointer's not wanting to cooperate with me. 150 grams of wholemeal breadcrumbs, 1 1/3 cups. I'm just going to use a box of Italian style. Finely grated zest of 1 lemon. 3 tablespoons chopped parsley. I'm using dried parsley flakes. 4 chunky whitefish fillets, about 180 to 200 grams each, cut into 4 chunky pieces or goujons. I'm using tilapia. 75 grams, 2/3 of a cup of flour, and a beaten egg. I'll beat the egg when I'm ready for it. Then for the Lemony Mayonnaise Dip, I need another egg, 150 milliliters of olive oil. I'm just going to use a measuring cup for that. 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar, another grated zest of a lemon, grated zest of another lemon, plus 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 2 more tablespoons of chopped parsley. Let's move into the kitchen and start putting this recipe together. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to get the potato chips ready. We're going to take the potatoes and add in our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then since I'm a little worried about how just potatoes with only oil is going to taste, I'll bring the oil back to the table. I am going to throw in a little bit of salt with this as well, just so there's something to taste on rather than just the blandness of the potatoes. So we're going to throw some salt in. And now we're going to go ahead and toss the potatoes in with the oil and now the salt. These are actually fairly big potatoes, and I cut them thick. Okay, I think that's about as tossed as the potatoes are going to get, most likely. And since I'm still waiting for the oven to finish heating up, I normally wouldn't do this on camera. Well, normally I do this on camera. We're actually going to get our cookie sheet ready. We're actually going to get our cookie sheet ready here for the potatoes. So I'm going to take my cookie sheet, or my baking sheet I should say, cover it in aluminum foil just to make cleanup a lot easier to deal with. This isn't an official step in the recipe, but it is something I do whenever I'm doing any baking in the oven, just to make cleanup a lot easier. Then we'll spray it down. Okay. So now we're just going to line the baking sheet with the chips that we made. And I'm still as I mentioned, I'm still waiting for the oven to heat up anyway. So we've got some time to get these ready. Okay. Okay, oven, you can come to temperature anytime now, you know. Especially now that the chips are all ready to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the oven. We're going to wait for the oven to come to temperature. And once it does, I'm going to put the potatoes in for 40 minutes. Actually, they want 30 to 40 minutes, turning occasionally until golden and crisp. So I'll shut the camera off, and we'll come back with the next step ready to go. Just to show you guys what we're going for before I move the camera to where I want it for the next step, we're working on an assembly line here. So I've got the flour in one pie plate, then I've got the beaten egg in a second pie plate, and funnily enough, I was getting ready to beat the egg in a separate bowl, and I had a reaction of why? It's going to need to be in one of these pie plates anyway. But we're going to bring our attention over here to the third pie plate, because what we're going to do here is we're going to set up the third step of the assembly line. We're going to start off by taking the breadcrumbs, which I've got the bag of in my hand, so I can pour those out after I cut the thing open. Then we want the lemon zest, which we've got that right here. And we want 3 tablespoons of the parsley, which we've got that right here. We'll go ahead and toss that all together. Okay. I think we're all good there. So I'll pack down the box. Give my hands a quick wash. Since the next thing I actually want to do is I actually want to go ahead and spray down the baking sheet I've got over there, since that's where the fish is going to land. Okay. And I'm just about out of cooking spray. Fortunately, I was able to get the spray in there. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to back this up one more time so I can demo one of these on the assembly line. And it's going to be a little bit weird here, as I want this to be in the back of the kitchen. So now we're going to coat the fish in the flour first. Then in the egg. It is very sticky and not wanting to cooperate with me. And finally in the breadcrumbs. We'll see how these actually seem like they're adhering pretty well. My normal recipe that I usually make with fish and chips, I usually use beer as part of the adhesive in the liquid mix. We'll do one more of the, we'll do one more. But you guys probably get the idea of where we're going with this. There we are. Man, I can't get a good grip on these. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do with this is after I coat all of these in the assembly line, once the chips get to about 20 minutes, we're going to put the fish in at that point, and then we'll let them cook, and then we'll let the fish and chips all cook together. So I'll do one more here since I've already got my hands in the fish. Then I'll reach across to the baking sheet, and at this point I'm going to wash my hands again. Give them a quick wipe off so I can turn the camera off and deal with the rest of these. We will come back to make the dip once the fish is in the oven. With the fish and chips proper now cooking in the oven, now we're going to start to work on the dip. So we're going to start off with the egg, which I've got right here. Whoop. That punctured a bit more than I thought it would. So we'll give that a quick cleanup. The olive oil, which hopefully will be enough, but I've got a big jug of that in one of my cabinets if I need more. So 150 milliliters. Looks like it's going to be just around a cup and a third. So I'm going to pour this off camera so I can read the meniscus. Just barely enough. And that will come to about, looks like once the meniscus settles, that should be just around 1 2/3 cups. Grab a spatula so I can scrape that out. Scrape as much as I can of it out. Eggs can go back in the fridge, preferably without breaking. And the olive oil can go back up. And now we want the tablespoon of white wine vinegar, which of course I'm going to have to open since I just bought this fresh this morning. I'm going to see if I can, there we go, lift that top piece off since that's always very annoying. And we want the tablespoon, as I mentioned, of white wine vinegar. Easy does it. Alright. I'm going to find another tablespoon since I'm not sure. Oop. I put the olive oil back up without the lid. Haha, brilliant. Okay. And now we want to hit this with a hand mixer until a thick mayonnaise forms. So if you're wearing headphones, here's your 5-second warning before I stick the hand mixer in and start to mix this up. Okay, let's see if I can make it a little bit thicker. It looks like it's coming through fine, but it's a little bit more runny than I think I would like in mayonnaise. Let's see if I can do anything about that. It's still a little bit runny for comfort, I think. But looking at it, it's probably the best I'm going to get. Well, let's see. Honestly, that seems like it's about the best I'm going to get out of it. Which still doesn't seem too bad. So now I can eject the beater bars. We'll move those over to the dishes. And now we're going to take the lemon zest and the juice and fold that in along with the parsley, which... Hang on just a second, I need to grab another tablespoon out of here. I think I put the parsley back up already, didn't I? Yes, I did. So we want the 2 tablespoons of parsley. The tablespoon of lemon juice. And the lemon zest. We're going to fold all of that together. Oop. Jarred the camera, but not too bad. Still a little bit on the runny side, but it's probably not too bad. That's what it's looking like so far. Yeah, I think a little bit runnier than I probably want here. But clearly sauces like gravy, mayonnaise, stuff like that, never been my strong suit. Anyway, we still have about 8 minutes before the fish and chips are ready, so we'll come back and we'll take a look at the finished product when the fish and chips come out of the oven. Here's our first look at the fish and chips as everything's coming out of the oven. The mayo is looking very runny, and odds are I'm going to end up pouring it off after the taste test. But let's at least see how it tastes. We'll plate some of the fish and the chips, and we'll bring this with the mayo over to my desk for the taste test. I've got some of the fish and chips right here. Odds are the mayo is going to be too runny, so I'm going to end up pouring that off. Fish and chips, though, is one of my favorite meals as it's very simple to do and you can easily customize it to make it your own. But let's give everything a taste and see what I think. Yeah, looking at the mayo, it's still very much running off. Honestly, the mayo does taste pretty good. I'd be a lot happier with it if it came out a lot thicker than it did. But nothing I can really do about that. It's got a nice little lemony kick to it that I really do like. And it's not a spicy kick at all. Let's take a taste of the fish and see what I think of that. The fish I'm also very happy with. This is going to be a good dinner for tonight, minus the lemon mayonnaise, but I don't normally eat fish with tartar sauce anyway, so that really is no big loss. But this will be dinner tonight, so I'm going to shut this camera off and we'll do that. But before we do that, that is another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Later this evening, we will be up at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, as we continue my 1985 replay in season ticket baseball, as the New York Mets will be taking on the Montreal Expos in a National League East matchup that could have heavy wildcard implications. As for the other games, tomorrow we'll have another block in season ticket baseball for 1985, and Wednesday we'll be playing game number 3 on my War Room list as we play the Hunters from Consim Press and GMT Games. Next week on Mystical Munchies, we will be making the dessert, Bilbo's 11st birthday cake. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.
Thank you.